Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. As you guys know, the United States have voted on a new president. The inauguration was yesterday, where Donald Trump became the 47th president of the United States. 45th, 47th. Pretty interesting. And I was someone that watched the inauguration. I was actually watching to hear what his executive orders were. And to be honest with you, I actually lost track because there were so many. I'm still trying to catch. I just read one recently on Bloomberg where they said that the Trump administration has agreed, or India have agreed, to send back 18,000 illegal immigrants to avoid a trade war, something like that, right? So there's so many things to know about it, right? So many things to know. But generally, it seems to be a dry day in terms of topics beyond, if beyond politics, because politics right now is dominating the airwaves. So what happened? What happened? I was going through the internet here, and I came across an interesting article from awfulannouncing.com, and it had the following headline. It says, Joy Taylor calls reaction to Donald Trump receiving TikTok ban embarrassing. So I then begin to read the article. And as I'm reading the article, it then references me to another article that was published by NPR.com. And it has the following headline. And this article was published on August 6, 2020. And it says, Trump signs executive order that will effectively ban use of TikTok in the United States. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is an interesting topic, so we definitely have to talk about it. So what I want to do now is I want to read this first article here, and then we're going to bounce over to the other article to read for you guys what Joy Taylor says. So let's get into this article right here now. President Trump on Thursday invoked his emergency economic powers to impose a broad sanctions against TikTok, a move that steps up pressure on the Chinese-owned app to sell its U.S. assets to an American company. In the order, which takes effect in 45 days, any transactions between TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, and U.S. citizens will be outlawed for national security reasons. In practice, experts told NPR the order likely will mean the viral video service could no longer receive advertising from American companies, and the app could be removed from Apple and Google App Store. It also continues on. For more than 100 million Americans who have downloaded TikTok, experts say the app may no longer be sent software updates, rendering TikTok unmanageable and eventually non-functional with time. When we talk about the sanctions against Russian oligarchs and kleptocrats, well, the sanctions are that no American can do business with them. Stuart Baker, the former general counsel at the National Security Agency, told NPR last month when sanctions about the order first began to spread. Now the same sanction has been used against TikTok. In a statement, TikTok says it's shocked by the executive order, claiming that the Trump administration paid no attention to facts, dictated terms of an agreement without going through the standard legal process, and tried to insert itself into negotiations between private businesses. TikTok added that the order sets a dangerous precedent for the concept of free expression and open markets. So there's that article there. I want you guys to keep this article in the back of your mind. Now let's get into this awful announcing article. It says, hours before taking office for his second term as president, Donald Trump seemingly helped pave the way for TikTok to return in the United States. But before the 45th and 47th president receives too much credit for helping reverse what had ultimately been an hour-long absence of the popular social media platform, Joy Taylor wanted to remind her audience of the role Trump played in making the ban possible in the first place. Taking to her Instagram stories on Sunday, the sports host shared an NPR story from August 2020 with the headline that we just read. And then she wrote, and I want to put up the post for you guys to see here on her story. She said, "Make a problem, let people forget you started it, take credit for fixing a problem you created to make yourself look good. We are embarrassing." Okay. That's what the article said there. And it says one more thing. It says, as for how we got here, it's worth noting that Trump's initial attempt Attempted ban on TikTok due to alleged national security concerns never truly had much teeth, with President Joe Biden signing an executive. Okay, so that's that. You guys can go check out the rest of that article there and kind of read about it. What are my thoughts on this? A few thoughts. All right. First of all, given the fact, Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless and these guys seem to be dominating the headlines, I'm surprised Joy Taylor went out there and is actually making comment. That's the first part that really surprised me. It's like, yo, son, it's hot right now for you, so you might want to lay low. But for her to go out there and step out there and really express her feelings about what's going on, to me is very surprising, given the fact that her and others have dominated the headlines because of that 42-page lawsuit that was that came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago that was reported by FOS. So you have that aspect of it that really surprised me. That's really what caused me to even say, hey, let's produce this top. I'm surprised. Like, yo, you really out here? You out here like that after all of that? So we got that aspect of it. There's this second aspect of what she's saying about, what just took place and saying we're an embarrassment. Here's what I've discovered. I have discovered that, and this is not going to be a shocker to anyone, no matter what you say in politics, no matter what you say, there's always going to be someone that gets pissed off by what you say, no matter what it is. I'll give you guys a perfect example of this. I didn't vote for President Trump, okay? But as I was watching the inauguration and as he was giving his speech, Capitol Hill, I was watching his speech with my wife, and I'm like, man, this is a pretty good speech. Just watch what I'm about to watch how this works. I'm like, man, it's a pretty good speech. Mind you, I didn't vote for him. This is a good speech. I like what he's saying. It's resonating with me. Then I found myself nodding my head like, damn, this is pretty good. Then next thing you know, I'm clapping. I'm like, damn, he's making some good points. He's making some good points, to the point where I took to our Instagram to share my thoughts about it live. We then produce a show for our other channel, Here's What I Think. I then go on there to express these views. Okay? We published the video. That channel makes us no money anyway. We published the video. Reading through some of the comments, one person said, unsubscribing from this channel, unsubscribing from your other channel, canceled. And I just bursted out laughing. I'm like, are there human beings like this? Really? Are there human beings like this? Of course they are. Of course they are. That was a person that heard what I said, that disagreed with it, and just took the most extreme reaction that they could to let me know how they feel about whatever it is I said. The point I'm making is there are people that are going to hear what Joy Taylor said and be 100% in agreement with her. There are going to be others that are going to just, I'm just blah, 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 blah. And I've learned that, look, you can never please people. Another thing I've learned is you can't play both sides of the fence. You have to take a strong position on either side of the aisle and take that position. But if you're bouncing from one side to the other side and bouncing over here and bouncing over there, it's just not going to work in your favor. And her comments are going to receive some positive feedback, and there's going to be a group of people that is just going to push back on it. Hell, there are going to be some people that unsubscribe from this video just based off of what I said here. It is that serious for some people. I pray some of you guys corral your emotions and realize you don't have to be that temperamental about things. It's just people and their opinions. But these are just my thoughts. As you guys know, was it over the weekend? Yes, it was over the weekend. Last week, Friday and Saturday, we produced a series of shows reacting to this bombshell interview that took place on the PBD podcast and Valuetainment. And during his recent sit down, he had on NBA legend, top 75 player, 6-time NBA champion, Scottie Pippen. And it was an explosive interview. Scottie Pippen was saying that him and Michael Jordan are friends. He was talking about players are soft, talking about who's the GOAT. And he also spoke about LeBron James, and we did some shows reacting to what he had to say. But then there were some comments he was making about the GOAT debate, talking about LeBron James doesn't deserve to be in it, basically, and all of that, and saying that there is no GOAT. So what happened? Stephen A. Smith, I guess, saw the interview over the weekend and decided to react to it on his Stephen A. Smith show this week. So I was actually supposed to watch his show yesterday because he released it yesterday, but I was just too tired not to have a chance to do that. But he was talking about the election and all of that. And then he was like, there was a part where it says, Scottie Pippen, please, right? So I already knew that Stephen A. Smith wasn't going to be fond of anything that Scottie Pippen was saying, and boy, oh boy, was I right about that. So I then decided to click on the video to see what Stephen A. Smith had to say about some of the disrespectful comments or things that he deemed disrespectful towards LeBron James. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say in response to Scottie Pippen's comments on LeBron, and then we're going to come back and react to some of what he had to say. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
Scottie, come on, bro. Excuse my language. That's some straight bull. Stop. Stop. I challenge anybody to find me a better defensive player than Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan has said on many occasions he doesn't win 6 rings without Scottie, and I get that. Scottie, you were never that dude offensively. Stop. Stop it. Now, I'm as critical of LeBron James as anybody who's fair-minded, not these haters out here and not these people that, I'm neither a hater nor am I the one that kisses his tush every chance you get. LeBron James is one of the top 2-3 players in the history of basketball, and you know it. How do we know you know that? There's certain times you flirted with him being better than Michael Jordan, and you know that's blasphemy. But you were never that offensive player, Scottie. You know how we know? Because when Jordan retired the first go-round, you had an opportunity to be that dude. You were an all-star. You're an all-star game MVP. You took them to the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Hugh Hollins call was awful against Hubert Davis on you. I got that. Against you, rather, on Hubert Davis. I got that part. But Scottie Pippen, you didn't get it done. And if you were that dude, how come you couldn't be like Kobe? And be like, yo, I want Shaq going. I want to show you what the hell I could do without Shaq. In your case, without Michael Jordan. No, when Michael Jordan was on, you kicked up your feet to show you were wearing Jordans, begging him to stop playing baseball and to come back. You forgot that, Scottie? What the hell are you talking about? And we can accuse LeBron James of a lot of things. The brother got 4 rings, Scottie. He's got 4. He's been to 10 NBA finals. And by the way, he never had a migraine in a Game 7. It never happened. Only to you. But I digress.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. What are my thoughts on this? Y'all know I'm not a fan of LeBron James at all. At all. I am not a fan of LeBron James. I think LeBron is, it's not, okay, let me say this. I'm not a fan of LeBron James mostly because of the antics and the narratives that surround him and Clutch and all of those guys. That's the part. But when it comes to evaluating LeBron as an NBA player, there's no way one could say that LeBron is not a top 10 player. This is just me. There are some people that feel like, oh, he's out of the top 10. He's on their top 10. Fantastic. I think that LeBron is one of the 10 greatest players of all time. That's just my personal opinion. Hell, at one point, I had LeBron James in my top 5, right? So I'm not going to go that far and let my feelings about him taint the way I rank him. Because if I'm saying that LeBron James is not a top 10 player, then I got to start thinking of some players that I think are better than him. Are there 10 NBA players of all time that I think are better than LeBron? No, I don't think so. And I can also understand people that have him in their top 5. Now, does the media play a role in all of this and all of that? Absolutely. They play a role in the way some people perceive LeBron in terms of how high they have him. Like, okay, I have him next to Jordan and all that. I think the media plays a role in all of that. You have that aspect of it. Let's address the part about the Scottie Pippen, LeBron James, and where he... Look, guys, there's no comparison. Irrespective of whatever I feel about LeBron James, there's no comparison. None whatsoever. LeBron is in a totally different universe compared to Scottie Pippen. Is LeBron the defender that Scottie Pippen is? No, he is not. But in terms of being an all-around player, you can't even mention the two. Can't even mention the two. I'll give you guys an example. For those of you who may think that Scottie has a point. If you replace LeBron James with Scottie Pippen on that Cavs team, do they come back from 3-1 down and beat the Warriors? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. If Scottie Pippen never played with with Michael Jordan, does Scottie Pippen have a career anywhere similar to LeBron in terms of the numbers and production minus the championship? Hell no. This is one conversation we cannot even begin to entertain. I remember the time I was defending LeBron James over Stephen Curry. When Stephen Curry won his 4th championship and people were saying, oh, Stephen Curry's better than, I'm like, y'all need to stop. Like, enough is enough with the like, I get it, but Stephen Curry ain't better no damn LeBron James. Forget about championship. Like, let's stop the nonsense. And I'm not here to defend LeBron. I'm just saying, like, it's going a little bit too far. Right? And listening to these comments from Scottie Pippen, who has flip-flopped all over the place. Because if Scottie's saying that, you know, he's better than LeBron or whatever, they should be held in a higher regard. You telling me that because some people have LeBron ahead of Kobe. You telling me, like, come on, let's stop that. Some people have LeBron ahead of Shaq, ahead of Bird, ahead of Magic, ahead of Duncan, ahead of Hakeem, ahead of Kareem. So you're ahead of all of, like, what are we talking about right now? Like, what are we even talking about? You have 6 championships. So does Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You ahead of him too? Like, yo, let's stop. Like, I get it. Some people don't like LeBron and I'm not a LeBron fan by any stretch of the imagination, y'all know. But let's stop the nonsense. Like, I'm going to push back on that notion, and I'm also going to push back on that ridiculous-ass notion that Stephen Curry is a better player. I don't care if Stephen Curry got 6 NBA championships to LeBron's 4. He still ain't better. I'm sorry. It ain't always about that. Like, so we're going to be talking a little bit about Stephen A. Smith reacting to this bombshell Scottie Pippen interview that he did with Patrick Bet-David. As you guys know, for those of you who follow the channel, we have produced some shows already reacting to some of the parts of that interview. We reacted, obviously, when Scottie Pippen called out players like LeBron and others who get NBA fans thrown out of games. We talked about him saying that him and Michael Jordan were never friends. We've gone over a lot of different, we went over the comments that he made about Charles Barkley and so many other aspects of that interview. So when I saw Stephen A. Smith decide to touch on this topic, I was very interested because, number one, I knew he was going to give an entertaining take on it. By the way, before we shot this show, I was watching a segment from what's the guy's name? Sports and Fitness Friends. So he did a show that he produced a few hours ago, and he says, Scottie Pippen, we don't care what you have to say. So it's around the halfway mark. I'm listening to him as I'm setting up to do this show here. And he goes, nobody wants to hear what Scottie Pippen has to say. Even if Scottie Pippen was giving away lottery ticket numbers, don't nobody want to hear from Scottie Pippen. So that cracked me up. So shout out to Sports and Fitness Friends. That was a pretty funny line. Anyway, let's continue on with the show. So I was very keen to hear what Stephen A. Smith was going to say about this. And then it got to the point where Stephen A. Smith was reacting to the comments that Scottie Pippen made about Michael Jordan. Hey, yo. When Stephen A. Smith started to react, man, he just went off. Like, he totally two-pieced this dude. Like, he was giving him combinations on his way out. So what we want to do is we want to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say about Scottie Pippen's crazy takes about being the GOAT and Michael Jordan and all of that. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
Oh, my God. Drug test him now. I want test. Take him into a urine sample, get a blood test, drug test him now. You got to be kidding me. I can't believe what we just heard. I can't believe it. And damn it, Patrick Bet-David, I love you. But let me tell you something right now. If you're trying to tell me that Scottie Pippen is justified in calling himself the best, you need to be drug tested too. All of you. All of you. How you the best when you wasn't even the best on your own team? How you the best when you weren't even the number one option? I mean, what? Oh, it hurts me because I don't want to do this. If you're the best, why were you calling for Jordan? If you're the best, why were you pouting on the bench when Phil Jackson called Tony Kukoc's number instead of yours in the playoff series against the Knicks? If you the best, why was Bill Cartwright in the locker room crying while excoriating you from abandoning your teammates? You led, you also quit. You quit. You had a migraine in 87. You had a migraine in a game 7 against the Pistons. Michael Jordan was left crying on a bus in his daddy's arms talking about when we gonna win. Bill Cartwright, I already told you, was crying. What are you talking about? Michael Jordan averaged over 30 about 8 or 9 times. You played defense. Michael Jordan wasn't first team all NBA defensive team 9 times. You had to play defense because you weren't that great offensively. Tremendous athleticism. 6'9". Could dunk on anybody, as Patrick Ewing would tell you. Had a sporadic jump shot. You were big enough and physical enough and talented enough to score in an open court. But our number one option, keyed upon, that wasn't your game. That was LeBron's game. That wasn't your game. That was Kobe's game. That wasn't your game. That was Michael Jordan's game. Hell, Vince Carter was the number one option. Allen Iverson was the number one option. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? GOAT, you? You one of the great ones. You one of the great ones, Scottie. But the GOAT, when your teammate was Michael Jordan, oh, by the way, I didn't even bring up when you went to Portland because you wanted your money. You went to Portland. Wasn't that you and the Portland Trailblazers up about 15 in that game 7 when Kobe threw the alley-oop to Shaq, who brought down the house? Wasn't that your team? Was y'all one trip away from the finals? Wasn't that you? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I got a question, Patrick Bet-David. I got a question. Because you like your basketball. You know your basketball. A lot of people don't realize how much you know about basketball. What a big NBA fan you are. I got a question for you. Was there ever a time, Patrick Bet-David, that's right, I'm calling you out, my brother, because I love you. You know I love you and the crew. Y'all know that. I was just hanging out with you the other day. Let me ask you a question, man. Is there any time in your lifetime watching basketball that you've either said yourself or heard somebody say, Scottie Pippen was in a GOAT conversation? Ever? I got another question for you. Has Scottie Pippen all of these years ever said that? He's been asked about Jordan and LeBron, or Jordan versus LeBron, or Jordan versus Kobe forever. Scottie Pippen never told nobody, nah, it's actually me that should be in that conversation.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. He said the man should be drug tested. It's hard to disagree with him. It is hard to disagree with him. It's hard to rationalize what Scottie was saying. Stephen A. Smith brought up the point. He's like, if you're the GOAT, why did that dude win all of the accolades over you on the same team? Scottie, I don't think believes a single word that he's saying that he's the GOAT. I think Scottie, to a certain extent and to a certain point, was simply trolling. All right. He was simply trolling. There's no way Scottie believes that. I don't believe Scottie Pippen is a top 20 player of all time. Not probably even top 25, probably not even top 30. I think we can list off 30 players that are better than Scottie Pippen just off the tip of our fingers right now. I mean, hell, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Kareem, Wilt, Russell, Magic, Bird, Hakeem, Duncan, Shaq. Who else am I missing? And then you can now start going through the more contemporary guys. Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis is better than him, in my personal opinion. Who else? And there's so many guys right now that's capable. I can, if we sat down and thought about it. And then of course, if you go in the past and think about other players in the past, I think you can think of 20 guys easily that are ahead of Scottie Pippen all time. So for there to be at least 25 players like in the history of the sport, like Kevin Garnett and so many other guys that are better than him, for him to say that he's on the GOAT level is laughable. It's actually laughable. Stephen A. Smith also brought up the point about the offensive and defensive side. That's also laughable. defensively, he was a hell of a perimeter player. He's such a good perimeter player that other great defenders studied his game on defense. So many, Kobe, Kawhi, all of these guys studied him. Of course you would. But to say that he was an offense, it's not even close. Like, he ain't better than Dwayne Wade. I forgot about Dwayne Wade. There's so many guys that are better than, like, so many players. He's not better than Nikola Jokic. He's not better than Giannis. Like, we can just go on and on. He's not better than Luka Doncic. Well, I would say Luka is a better player than him. I would say Luka. He's not better than all of these guys. So to say that sounds ridiculous. In terms of the GOAT thing, Stephen A. Smith brought up a point. He's trying to sell books. And I'm beginning to believe that that's what all of this was about. That's what all of this was about. He also brought up the fact about Scottie talking about making it about the Bulls and this and this and this. And Scottie has to know that the reason he is as popular as he is today is because he played with Michael Jordan, irrespective of the rings. Because there's been other great teammates that have won championships, multiple rings, that we don't talk about to this extent or talk about 30 years later. 30 years later, we're not talking about them. So the fact that you played with Michael Jordan even makes it possible to sell a book. Why? Because yes, people are interested in you. Yes, people are interested in that Chicago Bulls dynasty, but they're also interested in Michael Jordan. They are also interested in Michael Jordan. So to kind of overlook that, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. And Scottie trying to do that with a straight face and say he's the GOAT. No, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Scottie Pippen ain't nowhere close to being a GOAT. That's not even a conversation had nowhere. And Stephen A. Smith brought up another point. If you were the GOAT, why were you only saying it now? Why weren't you like, come on, like, let's stop. Let's stop the nonsense. I agree with Stephen A. Smith on this. Let's stop the madness.